Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, interesting problems. Well, we switched over to Linux Foundation and I had to set up an SE Linux device. Last week, USB devices were blocked. I've got a USB card running on my machine. Devices were blocked. I've run into some problems with DNSSEC, and for, for some reason, the Zoom dock does not allow you to select the two devices when you schedule the meeting through Linux Foundation. So I got something going on. But let me see if I can get this
I
up.
mean, isn't the first command that you run on an SE Linux device set and force 0 and then you move on with life?
It's disabled right now. Yeah. So there's something else going on.
Uh,
Uh, Good times.
no, it's actually kind of funny. I know a bunch of people that run stuff on SE Linux, and basically everybody has set and force 0, and then you always question, so why are you doing that in the first?
Yeah.
But yeah, I assume it's pretty annoying to switch and then having to deal with all of that stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, it's all part of the fun. Oh, bear with me. I'll do a screen share here too. Safari unknown. Okay. Sorry, bear with me. This is number 2. Jan, would you mind sharing your screen? I've got the screen up, but I've got to reboot Zoom to actually export it.
Let me see. I can probably find the board. I think I had that. Give me a second.
Sure. Let me see.
Google Docs. Share screen.
Perfect.
One?
Yeah. Okay, good. Um, okay, sorry everybody for the delay. You see, this is the weekly VOLTHA TST meeting, and you probably heard the announcement about it being recorded at the start. So we'll upload this to YouTube later on. Okay, so we've got a couple of items um, for this week. I'll go through if anybody would like to interject anything or cover any topics or whatever you'd like, feel free. Okay, so we've got the ongoing announcement for the V12 TechNAR. Amit is gathering information for the presentation. Mahir is going to be joining. If anybody would like to help out with that, you know, uh, definitely get in contact with them. And Michelle's coordinating with Mitt to get the meeting scheduled and get everything set up. So there should be announcements going out at some point. Could you scroll down a little bit?
Really?
Okay, so this is my problem. It doesn't seem to be affecting anybody else, but the meeting delay from last week and continues this week. I've got some problems fixed. I won't bore you with the details, but running SE Linux, there's some devices that were blocked. USB guard had my headphones and my um, webcam blocked. And I found out with my setup, I have a docking station hooked up, and on top of the docking station, I've got a couple of things cascading, like a USB hub and some card readers and things like that. And what I found with USB guard is it'll unblock the first device in the chain, but the other ones are not detected until subsequent scans. I went through and figured out all the devices and added them in the system, so they're defined by allowed by default. So that was one problem out of the way. But the one I'm currently having problems with is the Zoom. The the meetings are launched through Linux Foundation, and the Zoom doc that comes up, I can kind of interact with it, but I'm not identified as the meeting host, which is a general problem. And I can't unmute or use my video camera right now. So I'm going to be debugging that. No, I thought initially firewall ports might have been firewalled off, but you know, the problem continues. Let me see. Okay, so last week Mahir asked a question. Uh, an announcement was sent out about the new meeting that was scheduled, and we didn't have a lot of people attending, so we weren't sure if he wasn't sure if it might have been only been sent to the TSTs. There were two things that went on. The announcement did go out to everybody. The announcement was made on VOLTHA Discuss at Open Networking Foundation. Um, there's a minor problem there because we actually have two news groups. We've got VOLTHA Discuss ONF, and there's an older one, VOLTHA Discuss Open Chord, which there's quite a few people on there as well. So I cross-posted the message to Open Chord, also posted about it in the Slack channel. Going forward, this will be a short-term problem because with the project moving to Linux Foundation, there's going to be a new news group set up. It might be on .io. I don't know exactly where it's going yet, but we'll get the list consolidated when that happens. Okay, so another topic that came up, or sorry, any questions about any of this so far? Okay, so onto the OpenOLT agent. So I think it was Abalash brought up last week that we do not have a current build of the OpenOLT agent. And I started digging into some of the background for that. We've had pieces of it released, like the BAL, the Broadcom adapter has been updated. I did it for 2.11 and Jan did it somewhere between 2.11 and 2.12. We also did an update. So for the adapter builds, this is going to get a little bit involved. So the adapter builds are pretty much manual. We use proprietary SDKs for each of the vendors to build the agent piece that's specific for the OLT that they're working with. None of this is automated right now. So this is going to be fun because we're actually going to have to try and automate some of this stuff. The build instructions can be are in the repository for OpenOLT. It's the building.md file. The adjectives I've heard, I talked to Garish a little bit about this, and the adjectives I've heard so far is it's tedious, there's a lot to do, and it tends to be complex. So inputs the source code. We have the manual builds for all of the different OLTs, and the output, it looks like we're Debian packages. And there's some uploads and downloads that are involved with this. In the interim, we do not have the OpenOLT agent builds right now, obviously. So in the interim, the repository is going to be tagged for 2.12, so you can get the code and try and build it locally if you need to. But we're going to need to figure out all the moving parts on this and get more of it into Jenkins, so it's fully documented and more automated. But there's definitely going to be some problems with that. And likewise, like I just said with the BAO upgrade, I forget what version's out there right now, but it has since been upgraded it was upgraded since 2.11. Unfortunately, I lost my notes when we had the website attacked for where and how to retrieve it from the site. So, and I want to say last time I tried to retrieve it, I ended up, or I encountered some authentication issues. So there's some more stuff to figure out there. I know that's a lot in a very short period of time. Does anybody have any questions about any of this? There's going to be a bit of research with this one. Okay, we can continue on. Just a couple of general updates about the Linux Foundation move. We obviously have to migrate all of the resources from ONF over to Linux Foundation. We're going to try and do it in a staged way to not cause interruptions and fun things like that. So one of the first things we're going to have to do is for the Berlin lab to get the VPN transitioned from ONF over to Linux Foundation. I've got to go in and get the connectors, get the IPs, get the gateways and all that fun stuff so we can get that set up. For the second item, we have the Garrett server migration. Again, this is migrating the project's ONF Garrett server set up with other repositories. All we're doing is literally picking that up and moving it over to a server that's hosted on Linux Foundation. It'll be really good when that happens because we're going to upgrade the server software, all the OS patches, everything that's on the server because they're a little bit dated right now. From what I've heard from the migration, it's not a big deal to move the repositories. It's basically you do an rsync, move all the repositories over, and there's a core config file in the repository server. We just update that to work with the new host name and the new configs, but nothing for the history, for commits, for change sets, for users, access permissions, none of that should be changing. Let me see, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. So the Garrett server, I was going to try and do that early on, but on second thought, we're going to wait and do this a little bit further downstream. The Garrett server move is going to be one mass move. We can't move in. We're not going to be able to move individual repositories. Trying to do that ends up having to renumber the change sets within the repository. We're just asking for trouble if we try and do that. So what we're going to do is when the time comes, we'll schedule a maintenance window, announce to the community that this is going to be going on. And then we'll do the migration over to the new server, make sure everything's working, and then we'll do an announcement that it's back online again. So again, hopefully no disruptions on that front. Any questions? Sounds like somebody was going to ask a question. Maybe that was some back feed on my end then. Okay, so what we're going to do, or just as kind of some staging work to get this set up, we're going to be targeting the Jenkins servers, obviously to move them from jenkins.opencore over to the new domain, voltha.org. So it should be running under jenkins.voltha.org when we get done. So there's going to be some work going on in there. The version of JJB, the Jenkins job builder that we're running is quite dated. It's version 2.8 in some places and version 3 in others. The latest release is version 5 and version 6 has just been released like within the last couple of weeks / month. So we're going to target moving the servers and also upgrading the JJB software to the latest to at least version 5 and target version 6 hopefully. But there's some extra work that has to go on with that. Does anybody have any questions about any of that?
So maybe a quick question from my side in terms of the planned work for all of the upgrades and the moving of the VPN and the Berlin lab and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So is there the need for assistance from our side? I mean, like we currently, as you all know, we currently do not have any like contract and whatever with the Linux Foundation for that after you basically moved there. And I think the discussion about the bigger thing, the bigger offer is still outstanding. But there's obviously, as I also said before, still the option if you want us to help here, if you want us to assist in any of those ongoing activities during the migration, we're happy to do that on a time and materials basis.
Okay.
Because
Um,
it's like a lot of work, right? Especially the upgrade stuff. So yeah.
yeah, I'd say at the very least, helping with the VPN move would be good. Beyond that, it'll probably be up to the TSTs or if the board or whatever to sign off on it. But oh yeah, I could definitely see some help going on because this is going to be a big project.
Yeah, especially this Jenkins job builder. The upgrade, like as far as I remember, it's been a while since I worked with that, at least with the older versions, but it's more or less a rewrite of a lot of stuff. So it's yeah, it's quite a lot of stuff to do. So I mean, like for the VPN stuff, if you just need me to like plug a cable or something, and if it does not need to be a synchronous thing, please just ping me on Slack, and I can see if I'm in the lab and I plug a cable or something like that. For bigger stuff, yeah, it's up to the TST. I just wanted to like come in again, obviously offer help
Mhm.
if you need any, let me know.
Okay. Okay, cool. Definitely appreciate that. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be stuff come up and I'll uh, try and make arrangements so we can, if billing's involved, so that won't be a problem. Let me see. There's some random items in here too. I've been trying to inventory some of the BB sim failures. These are some of the higher level ones. Some of them came up during release. If they were intermittent, I'm kind of ignoring them. But if anybody would like to grab any of these, by all means, feel free. I'm currently working on the VOLTHA 5099, or what was it? Was it that one? No, actually, it's not that one. If we skip down to the release piece, this is where it manifests. We had a problem a while back. I've been trying to cycle between, this isn't, anything. I'm just trying to cycle between a bunch of Linux Foundation things that have come up and some of the items from the release that are still outstanding. One of them was from in VOLTHA Helm charts. We tried to release the VOLTHA Onos chart, and there was a problem where VOLTHA stack deploy was hanging when we tried to run the job to upgrade the chart. I'm in debugging, excuse me, I was doing that right before the meeting. I'm in debugging the stack deploy. Oh God, the VOLTHA stack deploy problem. So hopefully that'll be straightened out today. You see, all of the repositories have been tagged and branched so people can use them if they'd like. Um, okay, so for just a list of a summary of pending items, we have the OpenOLT agent builds, the variant hardware that we have to build on. For testing, we have the BBSim test failures. And the second piece of testing, the more I think about this, we really need to go in. This has been going on for a little bit. And we've been trying to not cause chaos, but I think we should probably go in and start bulk removing the or true tags that are attached to the testing runs, or sorry, not tags, the shell commands. The tests invocations are suffixed with or true, which basically masks the exit status from the test so they can fail and you just don't see it in Jenkins. Probably ought to start removing that stuff in bulk so we start seeing all the failures so they can be worked on. There's a bunch of old Jira tickets out there. I've closed a bunch of the ones that were under my name for release, but there's still a bunch to work through. We also need to triage the Jenkins jobs to get rid of some of the duplicate views, and we have some older ones like the 2.8 jobs that are still lingering. Those might be cached entries on the server, but those need to be cleaned up. Also on the list of things to do is the what was it, the VGC portion of VOLTHA. Prior to release, we were trying to get the VGC. Oh, sorry, I can't remember what repository it is off the top of my head. The upgrade ran into a problem because we have to upgrade the version of Golang that we're using in Docker images and some other places. So that effort's going to be coming back around again. So we get that upgrade and get the code in the system. And lastly, if anybody would like to play around with this one, this is another one to feel free. So we have some tools spread out across multiple repositories. There's some copy and paste code, but we have different installers that install bbsim, Kale, Kind, VoltCTL. I'm sure there's other ones out there. Sometimes the commands are simple curl commands doing a download. Other times they're, what is it? VoltCTL is using a script called Git release or GitHub release. The tool that is using was deprecated a while ago. We have a copy of it to keep the downloads functional, but we need to find an alternate answer for those. And just a general effort, it would be nice to consolidate these into central installers, remove all of the variant installers that are around the system, the hard-coded ones, and just use the same installation process everywhere so we have consistency. The thing we're susceptible to right now is if we're using different installers and they're retrieving hard-coded versions, we potentially have a mix of tool versions in play, and that's just asking for trouble too. Okay, so with that, does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up or they would like to work on or any fun stuff like that? And if not, I'd say the floor is open if anybody would like to bring something up for discussion.
I have one quick thing. So, while we at BISDN recently upgraded and moved a lot of stuff from our Kubernetes clusters, we found that we were still hosting the ONF netbox. So all of the documentation that we created for the rec at the community lab. So currently, we did not like set it up again, but I have the database dump, and so should we like set it up somewhere? Should I send you or anybody the database dump? Um, do you need like instructions on what to do? Like what do we do with that? Because it's a lot of documentation that we created, and I
Mhm.
think it will be definitely helpful if anybody wants to continue working with the rack, because it's the full cabling, all of the devices, all of that stuff. And yeah, what do we do with that?
Um, I would definitely be interested in a copy of it. Is size wise, would it be too large to put into a repository?
No, I think we can put it in it's a, I mean, it's a PostgreSQL dump, right?
Oh,
So I can put it in a repository because I think it should just be like a couple of megabytes. It's
mhm.
not that big. I can attach it to an email. I can
Oh,
also
mhm.
upload it to a wiki or something. Or if there is any Netbox instance, I can like put it there and then the documentation is there. Yeah, whatever helps, I
Okay.
guess.
Well, the wiki servers are going to be moving as well. They're not set up yet. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, so we don't have access to that directly. The netbox is in a colo that's hard to get at because there's just a limited number of logins, so that's not going to be an easy option. Um, oh, you can try and mail it if the as long as the mail servers don't complain about the file size.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
either that, or I can also like try to put it in a Google Drive or something like that.
Yeah.
I'll try to send it to you somehow.
Okay, cool. Sounds like somebody was
it,
trying to ask something too.
yeah, yeah. Jan and Joy, is there sensitive data in this documents, or these documents can be open to the community, or should we, you know, uh, check the documents if there are sensitive data in it that we cannot open?
Mhm.
Should be in only, you know, ONF sense?
I mean, currently it's not really a document, right? It's a PostgreSQL dump. It's a database dump.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
In that database, there is all of the devices, all of the cabling from the lab. There is IP addresses. I think there's probably those default passwords that we have everywhere. So there's like ONL admin thingies. I would not consider that sensitive data because yeah, it's not a real password, right? Apart from that, I don't think there should be anything in there.
Okay.
Are the IPs or is any of the labs routing in that box that might get exposed, or is it, are the IP addresses from Kubernetes, or are they to the local network that people might be able to map out the network using them?
I mean, if you have the documentation, you should be able to map out how everything is working because that's exactly the intention
Well,
of this documentation, right?
well, well, the cluster is running in the Berlin lab. Are we going to be exposing anything about the Berlin lab networking by putting details of the cluster or making them visible?
So I don't think so in general. I mean, there's really nothing in there that is very
Sensitive.
specific to just our setup. I mean, obviously there's IP addresses in there, and then people would know what kind of network we're using internally.
Yeah.
But since there is still like the gateway in front, and you would need to hop via the gateway to something, um, that shouldn't be an issue. But then again, yeah. So as said, like I can try to send you the data. It's a plain PostgreSQL dump. You
Mhm.
can grab through that if you want to search for some specific things in there, like the passwords or the IP addresses. I can also like set it up again if you, I mean, it's not like a big chunk of work, right? It's probably like an
Mhm.
hour or something. I can invest that time if this helps, and then you can take a look at the website. Um, yeah. So it's really just like I would not want to like continuously host that because we're really
Yeah.
not maintaining it basically. And yeah, so I would rather like put it somewhere where it's useful for you. I can assist you in setting it up on Linux Foundation infrastructure somewhere. I wouldn't want to keep it to myself because that would be very sad because there was a lot of work going into that direction. And it should really be helpful for anybody who wants to maintain that lab.
Right. All right. Well, just a side note, I don't know where this is all going to end up, and we're probably going to have something other than NetBox, I would suspect. But the projects end up paying for all of the resources, so or the resources that they consume. So I don't know if there would be a cost associated from spinning up an extra NetBox instance to make the information available that the way we have it today. If there's another um, whatever whatever moral equivalent Linux Foundation is using in place of NetBox, um, if we can import the data into that, that shouldn't be a big deal. Spinning up a separate instance, I don't know if the board would be open to paying for that, to maintain something special separate for it. But
I mean, in,
um,
in terms of like what you need to host that, so if you spin up a virtual machine on AWS with like, I don't know, a normal sized memory and normal sized CPU, I can also like put it there and launch the Netbox as a Docker Compose setup there. And then it would be running on your infrastructure, right? And like, since there is like for every test run, there is instances being spun up. that shouldn't be a big cost factor anywhere. But yeah, so just as an option. So if you give me like a virtual machine on AWS, I can also set up the netbox there, put the database there, and then you have it running somewhere.
Okay, let me see. I guess the floor is still open. Does anybody else have anything they would like to cover?
Hi, this is Amit. Mahir, I think because now the release is made, we might have to set up the meeting with the operators, right? So check if there are any new requirements that are coming in, and if it's possible to pick them up. What do you think?
Sorry, Amit, I couldn't get the question.
Yeah, so we used
Could
to
you
have this
repeat it again?
meeting, the TST meeting with the operators, right, to see if there are any new requirements. Now, given that the 2.12 release is made and we work towards the new release, should we have that meeting with the operators to check if there are any new requirements that they would want the Volta community to focus on?
Yeah, yeah, why not? Perhaps we can reach out the operators with email first and
Okay.
check if they have new requirements. Then, if a meeting is needed or not, then we can decide to have it. Okay.
Okay, fine. Then I'll send out an email.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I guess the floor is still open, and this is probably the last call. Does anybody have anything else they would like to add?
Yeah, I might ask a question to Amit or Abhilash. I mean, do you have a plan to replace Onospit's VoltaGo controller in this release, in 2.13?
Yes, Mahir. Yeah, in 2.13, we'll be planning to release.
Okay, good, thank you. And are you gonna include all the Turk Telecom requirements and tests also?
Actually, yes, I was coming to that. As of now, it's not there yet. So the telecom is not supported. But yeah, we can discuss on this, Mahir.
Okay. Let's discuss on that and define what is lacking, what's missing for the telecom requirements and telecom workflow. Then talk on that too, because previously, it's decided that in order to replace Onos with this new controller, we need to, fulfill all the requirements that exist, at least for Deutsche Telekom and Türk Telekom.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, right? So the plan was that first VGC should work for the DT workflows because that is what is being tested for, right? And we make a release where we support both VGC as well as ONOS, right? So VGC can work with the DT workflows only in that particular release. And then subsequently, we work on making VGC work for the other workflows as well. And then we make another release where VGC works for all operator workflows, but we still support ONOS. And then in that release, we say that ONOS is deprecated, and in the subsequent releases, we stop releasing ONOS. So I think that was the plan. Now this plan has got shifted right across the releases because our pipelines are not yet working fine with VGC. So I would think that broadly we should try to stick to that so that the transition is very smooth.
Okay. Then you're gonna do it with Deutsche Telekom workflow in 2.13, and we will replace it in 2.14.
Yes, that
Okay.
I think that's what we can target. So I think so for that, I think we need to try getting over the first step quickly, right? That is to ensure that in our pipelines, VGC is getting tested with the DT workflows.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I'll finish that after. Okay. Let's see. Just getting my thoughts straight. Okay, so does anybody else have anything else you'd like to include? Or the floor's still open if anybody would like to add anything. Okay. Well, I guess that'll be it for this week. And thanks for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks. Bye.